Welcome to The Young and the Restless. I'm Zach.
I'm Olivia.
And I'm Victor. And this is the podcast where I met a girl down at the disco. She said, hey, yeah, let's go.
Now I lay me down to sleep. I dreamt I had a soul to keep. And if I die before I wake, will that dream just go on for its own sake?
Kinda hard to talk right now. Girl, my girl's in the next room.
The next room.
Times I wish it was you.
Was you.
The motherfucking lips of an angel. I like to imagine that that dude's girlfriend heard that song for the first time on the radio
Oh my god.
and was like, what the fuck? You told me you were talking to your sister.
And the girl he's talking to was like, what the
You
fuck?
have a girlfriend?
You have a girlfriend?
Totally worth it though.
Can you imagine writing that song? Being like, yeah.
The whole world needs to know what a cool guy I am.
Yeah.
You make it so hard to be faithful.
Uh,
Jesus.
my favorite part is it's kind of hard to talk right now in that voice because it does sound like you have a mouthful of peanut butter. So it would be hard to talk right now.
Yeah.
Gonna have to talk right now.
So we went to a costume party last night.
Oh yeah?
We had to dress as it was supposed to be our favorite 2000s song or band.
Oh yeah, you mentioned this. I think off air
Yeah.
that you were.
Oh, did we?
But you hadn't come up with a costume yet.
Yeah. Yeah.
What'd you end up doing?
Well, Victor wore a cowboy hat and went as almost dead Johnny Cash.
Yeah.
Did he die? No.
Because he had that one song that kind of blew up and then he died.
Did he die in the
Yeah,
aughts?
I think he died within a year or two of that song catching wind.
Which was 2000.
I think it was in the 2000s. I was in high school, so it's definitely in the odds.
And I just wore a label sticker on my tits that said lumps and one on my belly that said my hump.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, pretty low effort costumes, but you know what? It worked out. Also, we listened to that song on the way down because I was like, I haven't actually listened to my humps in a minute. And starting off, I was not expecting much, right? And starting off, it was definitely oh no, this is going to be bad. But it fully won both of us over by the end.
Yeah, it holds up.
Yeah, it's kind of a bop.
Yeah.
It's it's
stupid.
Yeah, no, it's
a
stupid.
stupid
but
song.
It's they're clearly not taking it seriously. It's not a serious song.
No.
But it's kind of a bop. It was my favorite song that we listened to on our way to this party.
No.
It's one of those songs that gets stuck in my head a lot because the melody is that memorable, but the lyrics aren't. I can never remember the lyrics because I also haven't listened to it in a long time. So I'll just be doing laundry. I'll just be doing laundry and singing those lyrics wrong. Because why would I look them up? Instead, I'm just like, I'm gonna make you stressed out about death.
We were listening to an aughts playlist, and man, it feels like maybe everyone was joking, and it just all went over my head.
It's a very tongue-in-cheek decade.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember thinking that about Insane Clown Posse. I had friends that listened to them in high school, and I was like, judgmental or whatever. And then somewhere, in college, I listened to a song, and I was like, these guys might actually be comedic geniuses.
Yeah, I'm sure they knew that was funny, but then
People
the
took
fans
it really seriously.
took it really seriously, and it's how in on the joke are the people that are into it,
Yeah.
I
How
don't know.
deep undercover are they?
Right.
These characters.
And like you always run the risk of like irony just kind of becoming real, you know?
Yeah.
Like you do something ironically for a while and then it just kind of becomes something that you do. There's no joke anymore.
Yeah. You just become full Serpico.
Right.
I'm trying to think if there's anything that I've done that with. Like, I feel like there has to be something I did ironically, and then it just becomes a habit.
I think that's all smoking is.
That is how smoking starts, isn't it?
I mean, I wasn't doing that ironically. I genuinely thought that was cool as a young person.
But I think everyone smokes to be like, oh, look, I'm smoking.
Yeah.
And then suddenly
you're an addict.
Look, I know how bad this is, but I do it anyway. I'm an outlaw. Get it? Yeah. Yeah, there was a lot of that with like bad habit kind of stuff growing up on like punk rock for me, and like playing in punk rock bands early on. Because we would drink like 40 ounces at band practice because, you know, it's like a gas station sort of like lower class thing, but we're all college kids. You know, we're like cosplaying poverty because that's what the music that we listened to was lower class glamorization. And yeah, I don't know. Eventually you just learn to like the taste of Mickey's, and now you're drinking it at home with dinner. Like it's wine.
There's a lot of like, definitely drank some 40s in my day. Definitely like that was a thing that my friends were doing, but I don't know that it was irony. I think it was like the most cost effective way to get as trashed as possible, you know?
Yeah, that too.
But then like at that time, like people were like selling plasma to then be able to go and buy beer. Like it's weird time.
Yeah, I was definitely broke in college. Yeah, it wasn't irony so much as like a genuine obsession with this aesthetic of like crust punk or whatever, like as like wanting to be a part of this culture as much as possible, but still being able to sleep in a real bed and in like the basement of a DIY venue. Although I did do that for a while.
Yeah, I feel like that's like, I don't know, so much of what people do is just that. It's just like, oh, I think I'm supposed to be doing this. Oh, like people that I think are cool, like buy 40s and do this and listen to that kind of music. And so I'm just going to do that and dress like everyone's just like playing pretend a lot of the time.
Especially in your early 20s.
Yeah, when you're like figuring yourself out. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm glad I got to do the whole, when I was like 23 to 24, I like lived in multiple punk houses where we like smoked indoors and there were no glass in the windows and cats were just coming in and out. It was like, just like shit, like squalor, just like total crust punk squalor living. And it was kind of miserable. Like it was cool to be that young and resilient and get to like cross all of that stuff off the list and, you know, have done it. But then, you know, as a certain age approaches, you're like, I just want to be able to, sleep in a real bed at night that's not like a futon on the floor surrounded by beer cans with loud music playing at all hours of the night because there are 3 fucking ska bands sleeping on the couch downstairs.
Yeah,
fun, enriching times, but not a sustainable lifestyle.
Yeah. Makes you appreciate the bed and the quiet and like the current situation. It's like, at least I'm not in that trap house anymore.
Yeah. There's part of me that like regrets certain decisions. It's like, well, if I had, you know, not gone to art school and got like a real viable degree and like I could have skipped all that and gone straight to like a normal situation. And then by now I might be, like own a house or something. But if I did that, I might be sitting here wondering, like, I wonder what it would have been like to be like a punk rocker for a minute, you know?
Yeah. There's no right answers, no wrong answers.
And also, I don't know if that's even true. Like, I feel like most of the people I know, regardless of what their degree is in, like, it's really a gamble if you're going to get your foot in the door on like a career path, you know? It's just like, I don't know. It used to be that like having the degree was like a surefire way to like kickstart your career.
Mm-hmm.
But then, like, I guess when you make education more accessible, they're like, wait, we don't have jobs for everyone.
Well, because in our system, you know, like, I mean, we could make things better, but with the current way things are organized, like for every good, cushy job out there, you have to have like 100 people that are fucking miserable, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, deciding who gets the comfy chair or whatever is like, it's usually not actually about who's qualified, because plenty of people could sit in that chair, right? Just about like who you know or everything else, you know?
Yeah, man, I've been doing more reading about Burning Man than I ever have because of the whole debacle with the rain.
Oh, yeah.
Everyone gets 75,000 people getting stranded out there because it got wet.
That's crazy. 75,000, is that how many people go to Burning
That's what
Man?
I heard. That's how many.
That's crazy.
This year. Yeah, I think it gets bigger every year. But
yeah, it's more controversial than I thought it was.
Yeah. I mean, it's always been like culturally controversial because it's, you know, counterculture or whatever. But you know, it's made out to be like this utopian, like barter system, kind of off the grid mini society thing. But I was reading about the working conditions and I was like, wait, there are workers? And then the more I read about it, I was like, of course there are workers. They're building stages for the music. There's labor to be done. There's a fuck ton of labor. And so there's got to be a company that is paying people. And apparently they don't pay them very much. And it's really hard work. And yeah, it's just another department within capitalism. It's just dressed up like a anarchist bohemian paradise. If you call being covered in dirt and on drugs paradise.
What is the good pure thing though? Like, I feel like the more you look into anything, the more you find out that everything is just kind of rotten, right? Like, what's the thing you can do that's not toxic in some way? Soup kitchen? Is that the only thing you can do?
Yeah, the only thing run by people.
Yeah. But I've you know, a lot of the time with stuff like that, it's like, it's selfish to want to volunteer and like, or like to be like more directly involved. Like a lot of the time it's like, well, no, the most optimal thing for you to do is to donate your money and they'll take care of the rest or whatever, you know, or like, which isn't very like satisfying on like a human level or whatever. And still just plays into like the capitalist thing of like, well, you need to have your day job doing whatever kind of sinister shit you have to do to get a paycheck with enough disposable income to contribute towards your chosen selected charity or whatever. But then each charity is going to have its own conflicting, like, oh, well, they prioritize this over this. And shouldn't they really be thinking about this when they just figure out how to distribute their funds? And blah, blah, blah.
You could just crawl in a hole and die.
I've thought about it.
I've tried. God wouldn't take me. But I always wondered about that with like, I remember in college, like senior year, a lot of people went out to like build things abroad, like go to.
Right. That's evil, apparently. Did you hear about that?
No.
That's not okay to
Are
do.
you being serious?
Yeah.
My thought about it was always like, is it worth it for them, the people who are already out there doing humanitarian shit, is it worth it for them to teach these trust fund kids which end of the hammer you hit the nail with? Or would it be better if they just sent part of their trust fund to the problem?
Yeah, it would be better to send part of the trust fund. Yeah.
And just finish their degree here in America.
Yeah. Or like how those, you'll see those, I think it started with like Tom's shoes or whatever, but like, they're like, we're going to send one, like for every pair of shoes we send, we're going to donate one to like a part of the world where they really need shoes or whatever. Pretty much across the board, all of those are like do more harm than good and like undermine local economies and are sending things to people that don't actually need the things that they're sending and so on and so forth. Like, yeah.
So
everything's fucked.
But is it like inherent to capitalism, right? Like that capitalism will just rot any good intention out of anything and kind of leave you with nothing? Is that what we're doing here? You guys want to talk about dreams? Or
Yeah, do you have one you want to get into?
I dream of a revolution.
Where do your dreams come from? And what do they
I have one. Okay, so I had this dream a couple weeks ago. And so we were sitting in the midwife's office, like in the waiting room. And I see like up on the wall like a sign for vinyl pressing. And I said something to Victor like, "Oh, isn't it convenient that our midwife also presses vinyl?" Because his album was like about to come out or had just come out around this time that I had this dream. Also, the midwife was a vet, and we were waiting in the waiting room for her to be done with her other patient, which was a cat that she was euthanizing. But it wouldn't die. And so she like, and it like, I don't know, the appointment was like all over the place. Like at one point she was in the lobby, like in the waiting room, like injecting this cat with, you know, whatever death drugs, whatever they use. And then like they were outside in the parking lot and the cat hadn't died yet. And so she was like, "Oh, we'll just give it a little more." And like this cat just wouldn't die. Also, it was a green cat. And let's see. Then like we were trying to help like with the situation at one point. And I don't know, I think it ended with the cat like it gave us this look like we're in the parking lot and the cat was like on the ground, and it gave us this look like, "Fuck you guys. Like, screw this, I'm going home." And then it just kind of trotted off, like, and left the situation. And I remember feeling like, well, I guess that solves the problem. The cat is no longer here. That's what we were trying to do, I guess.
And apparently didn't need to be euthanized.
Yeah, I'm not sure why it had, like, owners that were there for that. But, yeah, it seemed alive and kicking.
Somebody catch that cat. We got to euthanize it.
And it also, I think it looked like a little dog at the end, like kind of a disjunctive cognition thing. It like turned into a chihuahua.
Somebody run after that able-bodied sentient cat.
Oh, it's too spry. I can't catch. It's so full of life.
That needs to be ended. Was it one of your alien cats?
No, it was just a regular cat, except that it was green.
And shapeshifted.
Cat.
Well, yeah.
But it didn't have the presence of the alien cats that feel like they're not part of your dreaming mind, right?
No, the alien cats are a weird thing that happens every now and then, and they don't feel like cats or really look like them.
Right. And you've described the feeling as being like they're not part of your dream, like they almost feel like a real entity.
I mean, yeah, this was just a cat in my dream.
What do you want you to think? Did the owners kind of look like, were they in like dark suits with dark sunglasses and little like earpieces?
Yeah, but what's
that got to do with
what's
anything?
that got to do with anything?
I pulled up. I don't know that this is like real. Like I don't know that the symbols are going to get us very far with this. But I pulled up cats and immortal and green, mash those together, see where we're at. To dream of a cat symbolizes an illusion of confidence about something that isn't as tough as it says it is.
It's green?
Seeing oneself. No, this is cat.
Oh.
Cat. So a cat is like something that thinks it's, really tough, but isn't. Has an illusion of toughness. Seeing oneself safe being too serious, but scared away easily once it's time to stand up for yourself or confront an issue. Conflicting feelings of confidence and fear. A false belief that you've convinced yourself is true in order to feel safe. Assumptions or daydreaming about things you feel good, never questioning being difficult. That is interesting. Yeah, cats are kind of defined by like they're they're overconfident and then terrified of actual conflict a lot of the time.
Yeah, they are, aren't they?
Yeah. Perfect safety, perfect safety that's confident it will never be embarrassed, that can be told to stop instantly. I don't know what that means. That's nonsense. Feeling confident asking for things and scared away easily from an argument if rejected. Thinking that you are emotionally safer than you've ever been when you don't see that you aren't.
Wait.
Huh?
Can I read that?
Yeah.
Okay. Feeling confident asking for things and scaring away easily from an argument if rejected. Okay.
Does that resonate? Or
yeah, but I'm not going to say anything yet because I don't want to put ideas in our heads.
A cat in a dream can reflect your need to feel good, feel loved, or feel comfortable about things that aren't objective, choosing to ignore facts or reality because it feels better, lying to yourself to avoid feeling pain or hard truth, lying to others so that they will think you are safe, feeling safe not standing up for yourself. I can't believe we've never read the cat's entry.
Wait, haven't we read the cat's entry
Maybe
before?
we did when you're with the alien cats.
But it doesn't sound familiar.
Yeah, it's not ringing a bell, right?
I've had plenty of cat dreams. I just think we haven't done them.
There's positively dreaming about cats. There's to dream of attacking other people's cats. Negative cats. Cats are often one of the worst symbols a person can dream about because the very problem they symbolize may be too hard or scary for the person's ego to accept.
Cool.
Something a person will easily live in denial about or never want to confront because it feels too good or safe to believe in it. Nobody wants to admit to themselves that they're more scared than they let on to others. Nobody wants to see themselves as accepting themselves as a sissy.
I love when the Dream Bible is like,
this is the worst thing that could happen to you.
It's like, side note, if you're dreaming about this,
if you dream about trees, no one can help you. There's kittens. Pregnant women often dream of kittens, it says here.
That makes sense.
What does it say about that?
Pregnant women often dream of kittens. This may reflect their sensitivity about need. Well, let me read the kitten entry first. To dream of kittens represents the beginning of having illusions of confidence about something that isn't as tough as it says it is. So it's like the beginning of a cat, right? A sensitive need to care about people who may not deserve it or may not respect you. That's interesting. Illusions or unprovable beliefs we are very sensitive or protective about. Sensitive confidence that easy. It says sensitive confidence that easy to scare off. I don't know.
That is easy?
That is easy to scare off. A beginning stage of vulnerability or innocence in a situation such as starting a new project or relationship. It can also represent a desire for nurturing or caretaking. Pregnant women often dream of kittens. This may reflect their sensitivity about needing to be perfectly safe and protected during pregnancy, that may be overdoing thinking perfect safety is important. Illusions about hurting the baby if they aren't perfectly healthy or safe. Pregnant women who dream of kittens often dream of more dangerous cats, such as lions, later in their pregnancy, probably to reflect their aggressive need to control their environment until the baby is born.
That really resonates.
Does that resonate in this context?
I don't know.
Okay. There's black cats. There's white cats. There's dark green cats.
It was a light green cat.
I know we've read the green entry before.
It was definitely like light, like a very light green, almost like, you know, that like temporary hair color spray that comes in a can that looks like chalk. It was like that color.
Well, there is no light green cat entry specifically. We'll have to go to the green entry to get there. Dark green is illusions of confidence that is selfish, and so on and so forth. That's actually quite a long entry. There's orange cats, blue cats, gray cats. If a dream cat is aggressive, to dream that you're afraid of a cat, to dream of a house full of cats, and that's it. Okay, so someone want to sum up? Do you want to sum up kind of what you're getting at a cat, Liv?
Well, there was something about like conflicting fears or conflicting feelings of fear and confidence. That feels like, that I feel like that's how I'm feeling about everything right now.
Makes sense.
But yeah, it sounds like there's a good chance, according to Dream Bible, that this is pointing to something that I am not willing to look at because of my ego. So, I don't know. I'm going to try and stay open to what a cat could possibly mean. I don't want to like point to the things that do resonate for me because it
of your
could easily
ego.
be something else.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly. But I'd like to hear what does light green mean?
And like specifically with the cat thing, it sounds like maybe like an insecurity that you're like protecting with like false bravado or something.
Yeah.
You know, it's like you have an insecurity, maybe you're not even willing to look at it, and so you are like projecting strength in an area where there isn't any.
Well, that's my whole fucking deal, though.
That's like my whole thing.
That's like my whole problem.
Are you a cat?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, I'm a cat. No, that well, let's hear light green.
Okay. So green in general represents thinking of yourself, where lighter and darker shades determine how positive or negative thinking of yourself is. So then dark green would be like negative thinking of yourself, and light green would be positive thinking of yourself, it sounds like. Positively green may indicate a healthy need to think of yourself first. Negatively green may indicate an excessive need to think of yourself first. So that's interesting. Like light green is actually like healthy prioritization of your needs above others, which is something we've been talking about a lot.
Yeah.
With your like boundaries around after having the baby, like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and just like life boundary stuff.
Yeah.
Just like something we've been talking about is like me and Olivia both have some people pleaser tendencies, right? And Olivia's been thinking through Olivia's been thinking about that and hitting places where it's like, I don't think I need to be a people pleaser in these ways anymore. Or like, I don't want to be, I want to try and work against that. And, I'm not as far along with her. I still have like a real anxiety about like, you know, putting my needs before others.
You need to get pregnant, or at least get more of the sympathy.
I'm working on it. Yeah, we're trying. She's been pegging me every night, but no luck.
I do think it has to do with that for me, though. The reason that I feel like emboldened to like really take on and challenge those people pleasing tendencies is because I'm not gonna fucking do that like just to make other people comfortable when it's like comes to boundaries with our kid.
Yeah.
Like
for sure.
And I already feel really strongly about that.
Line in the sand.
And so yeah, it feels like for a long time I was willing to be like, oh well, you know what? Fuck me, I guess.
Yeah, you know what this makes me think of, which feel free to let me know if you want this cut out or whatever. But it was something that came up a lot early in the podcast, like frustratingly so. Like you walked out of the room one time because you were so frustrated about having yet another dream about a particular friend conflict.
Right.
And that whole thing seemed to have to do with that particular tendency to want to keep the peace.
It absolutely did.
Yeah.
It absolutely
to the
did.
point
And it
where
was
like a relentless dream for you. And obviously baby dreams were going to take that over no matter what. But
yeah, no, that whole situation absolutely was about that. And like, it was me not being able to like express how I felt like wronged by this friend and like stewing on it. Yeah. And like, I recently saw somebody was talking about like people pleasing is actually like a really dickish thing to do. Like, it's not your fault. It's like a trauma response or whatever, but you're kind of an asshole for doing it because you're not being
dishonest. You're being like resentful.
You're not being authentic with people. Yeah. And like, and then you're like, it leads to resentment where you're like, you like stew on how people are treating you or like how people are taking and not giving and you're not expressing it and you're letting it happen. And then you're mad at them. And and that's your fault.
I've been on the receiving end of that where somebody blew up at me about something that a few months prior had been explicitly stated as totally cool with a good with a smile and a handshake. Yeah.
I have too, and I was like, wow, what an asshole, but I've also done that. So anyway, but like with this, it's like with the baby thing, it's just like I'm fully not even willing to like go there a little bit. I'm not like willing to like give an inch and so like I guess I'm just in a place where I really feel like I can just tell people, and I've been practicing like telling people exactly what we're doing and like learning how to feel okay with it, I guess. Like trying to internalize that their feelings are not my responsibility.
Yeah.
Is there more on it? Says that
there's a bunch
green?
more. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I was just thinking about people pleasing.
There's
like I said, it's something we talk about a lot. Sorry, what were you gonna say?
Oh, I mean, we'll probably get there, but I was thinking about the dynamic of, given what the cat seems to mean and what green seems to mean, about the dynamic of it people trying to euthanize it and it not going down. I don't know what that is yet. I don't have a theory, but like that seems like a significant dynamic in the dream.
Yeah, it's like evocative of something, but it's kind of hard to put your finger on what, right? Resilience, maybe? I don't know. Yeah. Okay. Light green. To dream of light green represents to dream of light green often represents
Nice.
healing or thinking of yourself in a positive way. Removing of obstacles, positive change, or health problems are improving progress or moving forward with a problem. It may also represent psychological or emotional issues that you are overcoming. Light green may also be a sign that you are experiencing physical healing. People commonly dream of light green when starting a new career or relationship. Hope, renewal, and fresh beginnings. Emotional healing and growth.
Love to hear it. It's funny that I had a dark green snake in the last dream that we did, which is like selfishness, selfish, evil asshole.
Right.
But that kind of does make sense because, again, it's like I'm kind of caught in this place with this stuff where like I feel both sides of that really strongly. Like I still have the impulse to like operate the way I'm operating, and like it's hard for me to operate in a different way. So like I don't know, maybe the green cat is like a positive symbol that's like in conflict with the part of me that thinks I'm an evil, arrogant asshole.
And something we talked about when the dark green snake came up was like it can be hard to tell, like once you're like going into the territory of changing your behavior and like looking out for yourself and enforcing your boundaries in a way you're not used to doing, like at least for me, and I think for you too, it's like it's hard to tell if this is like light green or dark green behavior, right? It's
Right.
like, well, am I actually just being fair to myself and like doing something healthy in enforcing my boundaries, or am I like, crossing over into being uncaring and unkind to other people or whatever,
That does sound like real therapy language. Is this light green or dark green behavior?
Want to hear immortal? I don't know if that's the best keyword for.
We can hear it. It doesn't resonate as like it didn't feel like the cat was like immortal. It just felt like the medicine wasn't working.
Is there a euthanasia?
There's another symbol
entry.
Let me look.
I know there's an injection entry or like a syringe.
Yeah, we talked about that in one of my dreams.
There is a euthanasia entry. Should I look up syringe?
Let's hear euthanasia.
Okay. To dream of euthanasia represents respectful, dignified, or peaceful end to a situation, a civilized ending to a relationship, habits, beliefs, or situations that you are planning to get rid of by choice, ending or changing something on your own terms. The dream signals a transformative experience or a period of self-discovery, choosing to let go, ending a situation or relationship because it spares you of difficulties or pain in the long term. To dream of an animal being euthanized represents an end to something you care deeply about. It may also reflect giving up peacefully or making a difficult change because it's cleaner or less painful for the long term.
That's such a positive entry for like a thing that feels sad,
and controversial.
The example, sure, yeah.
Yeah, I suppose.
The example is a man dreamed of having to have euthanasia performed on a puppy. In waking life, he felt it was time to peacefully end a friendship.
Yeah, I mean, I guess euthanasia on animals is normal and common, but like you said, sad.
Yeah, I think of it as sad, but almost always the kind thing to do.
Oh,
There are obviously situations where like people
for sure. I think
do that unnecessarily.
Well, I think the controversy comes in when it has to do with humans, but
that's not, I wish we could do that with people. That would be the kind thing.
Yeah, well, that's not what this dream was about. I just thought that like cultural debate would influence the Dream Bible survey insofar as what euthanasia means to people. But I'm betting that like 9 out of 10 people have thought of animals first.
Yeah, I feel like we maybe wouldn't call it euthanasia for people, but yeah, I feel like what that means to me is like, now to relate it back to what Zach was saying about like trying to euthanize the green cat but it not dying, like kind of feels like almost like a resilience thing against like forces within myself that want to suppress the urge I have to make this change in my behavior.
Yeah. It could also potentially represent maybe a relationship you're trying to change or end in service of that, light green self-interest or whatever, but that like is persisting.
A relationship?
Yeah, like a relationship, like euthanizing an animal represents kind of the end of a relationship, or can represent a relationship.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, not necessarily. I'm just saying that's an alternate possible interpretation.
Yeah, I have felt that is something that has kind of come up for me recently. It's just like there are some relationships in my life that like don't serve me as they are, at least, and like whether it means like ending them or like adjusting how I operate within them or how much energy I give them or the kind of energy that I give them, like there's a part of me that is like being called to adjust those things and like how I operate with certain people for the purpose of being more true to myself and what I want in my life and the kinds of things that do feel like they are bringing positive things into my life, if that makes sense.
Do you remember if in the dream, like, do you remember how you felt about euthanizing the cat? Like, did you want the cat to be euthanized? Were you like, oh, they shouldn't be euthanizing that cat, or like, let him go, or whatever? Like, how did you feel about it?
Yeah, it's interesting because I feel like the person that I am would have like a strong impulse to like protect the cat, and like I'm always like protecting animals in a dream, and like
yeah.
But and it was kind of clear that the cat didn't need to be euthanized. Like it was clear that this was a choice being made by the owners.
Right.
But I was at one point assisting, I believe. And I didn't feel that conflicted about it, I guess. No, I think I did feel conflicted about it, but I wasn't like, yeah, I felt conflicted about it. I didn't feel like strongly one way or the other at a certain point. And one point I was like holding the cat, I think, while they were trying to euthanize it. And then at the end, I remember feeling like glad that it like ran away, that it got free.
Yeah, because you kind of told the dream almost subjectively, like you didn't really mention yourself as a character. It felt like at least the way you described it, like it was just a story you were witnessing.
I kind of was just witnessing it. Like I wasn't. I don't remember like really talking to. The only thing I remember saying was like commenting to Victor about how he could get his vinyl pressed here.
Oh yeah,
like while we were here.
The jack of all trades.
Yeah, the midwife veterinarian vinyl pressing. Yeah.
It's going to crack this dream wide open. Look up vinyl pressing.
That definitely was just like your album.
Definitely.
But yeah, no, I think like I was like assisting at one point, but I felt like kind of neutral about it. And then again at the end it felt like the same result was achieved. I don't know if that doesn't track with kind of what we're doing, but it kind of felt like.
No, that tracks.
Oh, really? Like it felt like the problem was solved. They didn't want the cat here, and so the cat left. And like to me, it's like, well, what difference does it make if the cat is dead or not their problem.
Yeah, if the light green is instead of being like, oh, this is the embodiment of your like self-interest or whatever you'd call it, your like self-protective behaviors or whatever. I don't know, your light green behavior, right?
Mhm.
If instead of being like the embodiment of that, it's just like the cat's symbolic of a relationship or relationships or like an approach to life or whatever. The light green is like, this is you making, like you doing things better or doing things the right way, right? And then like, yeah, the cat staying maybe is like keeping the cat is maybe damaging in the long run. The cat needs to go, and it's just a matter of like how the cat is going, right?
Yeah.
Or, like, how to get rid of the cat.
Yeah, it's like whether it's whether it's like it's whether it's free or not, I guess, is kind of how that felt.
Yeah. So
and the cat.
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, that was an interesting moment in the dream when you were like, well, I guess that solves the problem. When in reality, you know, if a cat that needs to be euthanized got away, that's not the problem is not solved, I guess, unless you're just gonna like leave it up to a wild owl to eat the cat.
Yeah, and it was also like, I remember in the dream, it was like running down a long parking lot towards Aurora, which is a very busy highway in Seattle. And like, I remember having the thought of like, well, that's a busy area where a cat could get hit by a car. But like, I don't know, I like wasn't worried about it, I guess. Like it seemed like it was fine. Like the cat was gonna take care of itself.
Yeah, that is what we, this is a total sidebar, but we had mice in our apartment for a little while, and I approached it with that same attitude where I didn't want to kill the mice. But what I was doing is I would get the humane traps and I would go release them in a nearby neighborhood that's full of cats. And I'd be like,
just feeding the cats.
I didn't kill a mouse. Nature solved the problem, hopefully.
No, I didn't kill a mouse. I fed a cat.
Yeah.
Does it feel like that kind of gets at what you're like? Does it feel like we got towards the meaning of the dream?
I think it does. Yeah, I think that actually quite nicely sums it up. And it makes sense that it was like taking place at the midwife's office, like
right. Because the baby is like a catalyst for these changes.
Yes. Yeah. And it was also like we couldn't go in for our midwife appointment until the cat was taken care of.
Oh, yeah.
So it's like, you know, in my head, like I have this big thing where I'm like, oh, I have to like figure it out before the baby comes.
Right.
Then also Victor happens to be making a record. It's just like everything was going on.
Yeah.
Wait, so can you, like, I guess just for like summarization purposes, like succinctly describe the dynamic, like what exactly is happening? Like what is the green cat? Why is it being put down? I'm just trying to wrap my head around the like the mechanics of the dream, I guess.
Yeah.
I'm the green cat. She's been, she's been letting me get away with too much for too long, and some things need to change around here. Or she's gonna have to put me down.
The midwifery was just a red herring. It's mostly about the vinyl pressing.
What? I'm still like a little foggy on the cat entry.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, I feel like that's the question I still have is like, if the cat represents a thing that is like maybe like a weakness that you like project strength about, or like, like an insecurity that maybe you have a hard time looking at or something, how that ties into all that. Maybe that is like where the people pleasing impulses come from or something.
Yeah, and like I think the cat is like some of like my deeper psychological dynamics, but like like I mean Victor and I have talked about this a lot. I don't know how much we've talked about it on the podcast, but like one of like a thing that I have like trouble with in my life is like this sounds weird to say on a podcast where I come here and talk about like my problems, but like I do have a little bit of a problem with being like vulnerable and like truly intimate with people. And like, so, yeah, I don't know. That feels like an area where I like project confidence when I'm like trying to keep people at arm's length, I guess. Or like confidence isn't really the word. It's just like, if I do feel vulnerable, like that's something that kind of triggers me unless I'm like in a safe place with like safe people.
It is pretty hilarious that 3 like especially private introverts would decide to do a podcast at all, but then to do one on like the inner workings of our own psyches.
Yeah.
It's the most vulnerable podcast ever.
It is funny. Like I feel like a lot of podcasts are like 3 guys yelling over each other.
Yeah.
And like our podcast is like, we're all like kind of talking in these like soft, dulcet tones and being like, oh, sorry, what were you going to say? Like,
taking long pauses to like really think about what we're about to say.
Yeah. I don't know. Victor, I'd be curious to hear you talk about the cat a little more. Like that's, again, I think that's the part that's hardest for me to like.
Yeah. I mean, I think something we've talked about is like that maybe that you have some, like we've talked about the people pleasing stuff, right? And then also sometimes you'll enter into like relationship dynamics with people, not romantically, but just like, you know, like interpersonal relationships with people that will cause you a lot of stress with how you operate in those relationships, and like how that's connected to deeper stuff and whatever, you know. And so like if euthanizing an animal is connected to like letting relationships go or like letting things take their natural course or whatever, it could be like on this journey of like, you know, treating yourself better and having more self-respect. That's a thing that's hard for you to look at, is like when you get triggered in a relationship and it makes you like want to get really like worked up about it and like operate a certain way that's been unhealthy for you in it, you know?
Yeah.
Like that's hard to look at where that's coming from or what that's about, but you feel the thing in you that's like that you either need to change how you operate in those relationships or end those relationships.
Yeah. I think again, like I'm with all of this, I'm in a place where it's like a lot easier said than done.
For sure.
And so like you said, like when I actually end up in a situation where there's conflict, it stresses me out a lot. And it's not as simple as me being like, nope, sorry, this is what I'm doing and this is how I feel. And I'm going to do this for myself. It's not that simple for me right now. But I would like to get there because I think it's important. And so I guess it is like, it could be about like ending that dynamic in relationships or adjusting how I operate in relationships and or like my involvement in certain relationships that tend to have those dynamics, because clearly that is a thing that is recurring for me.
So I feel like maybe the euthanasia is emblematic of ending certain relationships,
or just how I operate within
ending a part of putting down a part of you.
Yeah,
because it makes sense. Like if a cat is like this overly confident but ultimately easily buckled creature, like that does seem to like it could reflect where you're at with people pleasing stuff. Like you're totally gung-ho and ready to set these boundaries. You're not going to give an inch, but you're still, you know, a little cat-like, and that if somebody were to really challenge it, you might fold, or at least that's the worry.
Something we were just talking about. I think you've brought it up just talking to me, and then I think you said it on the podcast the other day. But how when talking to safe people like me and Zach, you'll take on like a very, I don't need to do anything for anybody.
Very
I don't need to,
strong-willed.
I'm not in a very strong position, because that's actually very hard for you to do. And you're like actively trying to like embody that
manifesting
version
it.
of yourself. Yeah. And so like that makes me think of that false cat confidence.
Yeah.
Of like, you're putting that out there because it's a weak spot for you.
So the
Totally.
euthanasia could be, you like wanting to put that down, like not be a cat about it, but be whatever is actually more resolved than a cat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is a dog more resolved than a cat?
Maybe a lion. It said that later on in your pregnancy, you might be dreaming of bigger jungle cats.
Yeah, but the cat turned into a dog at the end.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
a
you
chihuahua
know,
too, a little
dogs.
yippy chihuahua,
It was a little
little
dog.
ankle biter.
I don't know if it was a chihuahua. It was kind of like a little, like wiry haired. It was a small dog.
A little Napoleon complex.
Yeah, dog represents feelings about areas of your life where you are emotionally protective. The type, size, and color of the dog all reflect how you choose to protect yourself from difficult emotions or confront problems.
Well, yeah. Yeah. All right.
There's a lost dog. I don't know if this counts as lost. The dog is just kind of doing their own thing.
Man, and that kind of explains the attitude of like when the cat says "fuck this, I'm going home" and leaves, and you're like, well, I guess that solves the problem. Like if the cat is your tendency or the fear that you're going to buckle under pressure when it comes to people pleasing stuff, and you're trying to euthanize that and like get past it, but it just retreats, like that could be you like bottling it or like,
Yeah.
just dealing with it another less permanent way and being like, well, that works for now.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like for those relationships can change in two ways. It can either be like you continue to like see each other, but you shift how you interact with each other, or you stop interacting, right? Either way kind of solves the problem.
At least for
which
now.
I think is right. Yeah. Until another cat comes along.
Right. And I do think there's some like impulses in me to like I have an impulse to use those walls that I already have, like to further set my boundaries, like or like using boundaries to like reinforce those walls, I guess. Like I feel like I don't know, we've talked about like how I feel like being postpartum with an infant is going to be like very vulnerable, and to be honest, I don't want anybody but Victor to see me during that time. And so like even though there's people who like really want to come see the baby, like, or whatever they want to do, they want to help, they want to like do our dishes or whatever, like I don't want that. And regardless of if that's like coming from like a healthy place, that is more coming from a place of me like being uncomfortable with like that kind of intimate like dynamic with people that I don't feel comfortable with. But like, yeah, it feels like I have to set boundaries to protect myself in that time. So I don't know how healthy that is. Maybe my like impulse to be less people pleasy is just coming from a place of further like digging my heels in on like stuff that I'm trying to work on.
Do you think the fact that you're the only one of us in therapy right now is frustrating to our female listeners?
Probably.
Because Victor and I are over here like with our dreams being like, that was weird. I'm sure I'll be fine though.
Best to not think about it.
Olivia's working so hard over there.
I'm trying.
Can you get enough therapy to share with the rest of us?
I've been trying to share my therapy with Victor.
Do you have enough to share with the whole
like,
class?
Victor, my therapist thinks you should go to therapy.
Like, of course they would say that. It's a racket.
It's a pyramid scheme.
Yeah. Yeah, your therapist sitting there like, yeah, I think we should see each other more, and I think you should send more people to therapy. It's like, you're just trying to buy a boat.
It's like when my dentist told me he was a big fan of hockey. I was like, I'm sure you are.
Yeah.
Yeah, they used to give us candy at the dentist.
That's how they get
Those
you.
are the good old days.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. I actually haven't been in a minute. Well, and they don't give adults
Same.
things.
I need to do that.
Adults don't get fun.
That's why I stopped going.
Yeah, no more Happy Meal toys. I'm out.
That's why I stopped going 23 years ago.
They said, this is the last lollipop we're going to give you. And I said, this is the last time we're going to see each other.
God, I don't trust dentists. Been burned too many times.
Yeah. Notorious suicidal pervert profession, dentistry.
Wait, what? There's some.
I don't need to explain that.
Stats I don't know about.
Everybody out there knows what I'm talking about.
I need to Google dentist. Dentists news. I just know I'm always like, it's like going to like the mechanic, like to get an oil change, and then they diagnose you with 6 other things you need to come back for. Right. But then you go to a different mechanic, and they're like, no, your water pump's fine. Every time I go to the dentist, I'm getting like second, third opinions, and I never actually know what's going on with my teeth because they're all racketeers.
Every time you see a therapist, one of them is like, you need to be in here every other day. And this could take years. And then you see another one and they're like, you seem fine to me. You don't need to be here.
You seem fine to me. That'd be a great therapist.
I don't think a therapist has ever said that.
No. I've gotten that vibe from therapy before. I went to, I did the hair cutting school equivalent of therapy, where I got therapy from like a grad student for $13 a session.
Oh, yeah.
Every session was like, I didn't feel like she knew what to do, because I had therapy in the past. So I was like, here's what's going on, but I'm working on it in this way. I would describe the CBT stuff that I've been taught in the past and how I was working through stuff. And she'd just be like, okay, cool. and then in the last like minute of therapy, I'd be like, oh yeah, sometimes also when I'm driving, I picture steering off the road and crashing into a lamppost. Is that normal?
It always happens in the last minute of therapy. I'm like, yeah.
But
usually I'm like, I don't want to get into it. There's not time.
Yeah, for 49 minutes, I'm like, I think I'm doing pretty good. In the last minute, I just remember something. It's like really potentially an issue.
You should really be able to go into overtime with therapy.
There's somebody in the waiting room waiting to talk about their fucking day.
Well, did we crack it, Liv?
Yeah. I mean, there's shit there, but
yeah,
I think I have a clearer picture of this one.
It's the cute ones that'll get you. This is so cute. It's like, oh, we're just trying to kill a cat. What could it possibly mean? We do it every day.
It's going to take a little dirt nap.
Mean and stuff.
Little forever sleepy. It's adorable.
Right.
Thank you for listening to The Young and the Restless.
You can follow us on Instagram at thejungandtherestlesspod and submit your dreams to thejungandtherestlesspod at gmail.
And as we always say, dreamer, I hardly know her. You a tiger lily on the moon, and maybe someday we could go there together. For now the clock is screaming, welcome home. Dream forever, dream forever.
I met a girl down at the disco. She said, hey, 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 yeah, let's go. I could be your baby. You could be my honey. Let's spend some time, not money, and mix your milk with my Cocoa Puff. Milky, milky Cocoa Puff. Mix your milk with my Cocoa Puff. Milky, milky, right?
Like I said, we'll just cut that out, and that'll be the intro.